UFC Fight Night, Shevchenko versus Grasso 2 in Mexico. Predictions. Let's get into it, boys. Kicking us off at women's strawweight, we have Josephine Knudsen versus Marnik Man. I feel like this one's a pretty cut and dry case. Josephine Knudsen, I saw her on Dana White's Contender Series. She had a pretty good performance. I think she's just better all around. Like when you watch the fights of both of these people, it just seems like Josephine Knudsen is way more capable at grappling, kickboxing. She's just better overall. She's younger. She is at a bit of a reach disadvantage, but I absolutely trust her to get this fight done. Probably by like uh, probably a 30-27 decision. I don't feel like Marnik Man's just on the level. Uh, I don't feel like she's UFC level at all. I feel like Knudsen is, though. She strikes me as a female prospect who's actually pretty good. Jumping up to lightweight, Alex Reyes, Charlie Campbell. This one's a kind of a no-brainer for me. Like this one's like I don't see how anybody could be taking Alex Reyes just logically. He's 36 years old and he hasn't fought in 6 years. He hasn't fought since 2017, since he lost to Mike Perry. Uh, and it's not for lack of trying. He's had a litany of injuries as well. He's had 3 fights canceled, I think, because of injuries. Yeah, man, it's just not a good look. 6 years off, 36, probably past his athletic prime. And Charlie Campbell's good, man. Like I feel like Charlie Campbell might get a finish pretty easily over Alex Reyes. Yeah, 6 years is way too long of a layoff, man. I just don't like it for him. I'm gonna go with Charlie Campbell, probably by like second round TKO. I feel like that one's pretty open and shut. Jumping up to women's flyweight, we have Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Now these two are looking like pretty much evens here. I think I might go with Jasmine Jasudavicius over Tracy Cortez. Uh, she's a bit older. She is definitely bigger, and I think their grappling, both of them, will probably cancel each other out, and this will turn into largely a kickboxing or a striking contest. And I honestly think I favor Jasmine Jasudavicius in that. Um, uh, yeah, yeah, because Jasmine Jasudavicius, in her last fight, she dominated Miranda Maverick in the grappling, and Miranda Maverick is really quite good. So I don't see Tracy Cortez being able to take her down or control her and dominate her on the ground or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's probably going to be largely a striking contest, and I do slightly favor Jasmine Zudavicius in that. I think she'll push the pace a little bit harder in the striking and try a little bit harder to land some good shots, and I think she'll probably edge out uh probably like a 29-28 decision. Moving up to flyweight, we have Edgar Cherez, Daniel Lacerda. Um, I just don't know how you can take Daniel Lacerda, honestly. Like he's got decent skills, but like let's be real, fellas, he's been finished in his last 4 fights. And Edgar Cherez is not too shabby at finishing people. He's a pretty tough, durable guy. Um, Edgar Cherez's only recent loss really was to Tatsuro Taira, and in that fight, he really presented the most problems we've ever seen presented for Tatsuro Taira, and that's a guy a lot of people are like, oh my god, this guy's gonna make a run as like a contender maybe because his wrestling's so good. Edgar Cherez gave him problems in the striking, and he gave him problems in the grappling. I think he he's too durable for Daniel Lacerda. And what I mean by that is Daniel Lacerda's probably got one round of fight in him. And if he does not win in that one round, Edgar Cherez is going to take over and really start to put it on Daniel Lacerda. And I see that happening. I see Daniel Lacerda giving him 100% in the first round, and then his output and defense falling off of a cliff in rounds 2 and 3. And Edgar Cherez probably takes over and melts him in rounds 2 and 3. I think he probably gets a late finish, probably like a round 3 TKO, honestly. Going up to middleweight, we have Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. I'm going with Roman Kopylov. He's just way too fucking slick, man. He's improved his grappling defense pretty substantially, wrestling guys like Albert Duraev in some of his early fights. Uh, I don't see Josh Fremd being able to get him to the ground at all, and I certainly don't see Josh Fremd winning a kickboxing fight with Roman Kopylov. He's been looking really fucking slick on the feet, and he's been getting some crazy finishes over some really decent fighters. I can't see a very easy path to victory for Josh Fremd, man. He's a big guy, he's a young guy, but in all reality, he's got 1 inch of reach, and I feel like Kopalov's going to find his chin. Josh Frim stands up a little bit too straight for me, and his hands sometimes are not where I like them to be, especially fighting a guy like Kopylov who's a really lethal striker. I'm going to be taking Roman Kopylov probably by second round TKO. Going to women's strawweight, Lupi Godinez, Elise Reed. Uh, Once again, kind of a gimme fight, kind of a layup. I feel like I'm going with Lupi Godinez. She's just better. She's just fought better people. The only people that have beat her have either been up a weight class or like I think Angela Hill, who has like the most experience pretty much at women's strawweight. Like she's fought really seasoned fighters and really decent fighters. Elise Reed is not great. She doesn't really excel at anything. She's just mid, quite honestly. She's just mid. Uh, and I think Lupi Godinez is going to be able to do whatever she wants to Elise Reed. I think she's probably just going to dominate her the whole fight and probably get maybe a 30-27 decision, I think. Moving up to the main card at featherweight, we have Fernando Padilla versus Kyle Nelson. I'm going to go with Fernando Padilla. I don't think Kyle Nelson is very good at all. He did just beat Blake Builder, but Blake Builder kind of looked terrible and fought terribly. I think Blake Builder just kind of sucks, honestly. And Kyle Nelson was experienced enough to get that decision win. But I don't think Kyle Nelson is going to have an easy time with Fernando Padilla. He's much bigger. He's much younger. He's got a lot more reach. And man, he is lethal on the feet at times. You know, going out there and blowing up Julian Erosa in a round is not an easy thing to do. Like, I don't think Kyle Nelson would beat Julian Erosa at all. I think Fernando Padilla is just a level above Kyle Nelson. I think Kyle Nelson's going to have a really hard time implementing any kind of a game plan against this guy. Maybe he could take him down, but if he tries, there is going to be some serious risk of Kyle Nelson getting caught and hurt on the feet. I'm going to go with Fernando Padilla by... Actually, I might go with Fernando Padilla by submission. I think he might hurt Kyle Nelson on the feet and then snatch up his neck and get a sub. I'm going to go with Fernando Padilla by submission. Going up to lightweight, we have Daniel Zellhuber versus Christos Giagos. Going with Daniel Zellhuber. Christos is a good fighter, though. He had a good knockout over Ricky Glenn, but I think that was a a has-been version of Ricky Glenn. Like Ricky Glenn looked like absolute dog shit in that fight, so I don't know if I can really rate a knockout over him at this point in his career. But it was impressive the way he did it. Daniel Zellhuber, though, is a guy I think is really quite good. He's got only one loss in the UFC. Now, granted, that loss was to Trey Ogden, who fucking sucks. But his other two fights in the UFC, one was over Lucas Almeida, who I think is pretty good on the Contender Series, and another was Lando Venata. And Lando Venata is a tricky guy for a lot of guys to go out there and beat, and he's pretty dangerous on the feet, and he's got good speed. So going out there and getting a unanimous decision over him, I think is pretty good. Christos Giagos, you know, he has been dealt a pretty rough hand As far as UFC opponents, man, like he's got losses against Moises, Arman Sarukian, Drakkar Close. Like these are all really, really, really good guys. And I'm not saying Daniel Zellhuber's on the level of any of those guys, but I do think Daniel Zellhuber will have the ability to take this to a decision and land strikes on the outside on Christos Giagos. There's always danger with Christos landing a big shot, but I think Daniel Zellhuber can maintain his range enough to not leave himself completely open. Uh, and I think he'll win this fight by decision. I think he'll win this fight by 29-28 decision. Going up to bantamweight, Raul Rosas Jr., Terence Mitchell. Now, this one I'm not actually sure about. Now, I know you see Raul Rosas is a minus 700, but like, man, I don't feel like he should be. I'll be honest. I feel like this line is crazy. Now, if you're asking me who I think is going to win, which is what these videos are, I think Raul Rosas Jr. will win. I think he is the much stronger grappler. If Cameron Simon can outgrapple you with ease, I think Raul Rosas Jr. can. However, on the feet, Terence Mitchell is way more dangerous, I think, than Raul Rosas Jr. And Terence Mitchell can throw up some stuff. He could throw up some submissions. He's a tricky guy for an 18-year-old kid, is what I'm saying. I think Raul Rosas is going to win. I don't know if you should bet on him at minus 700. I normally don't do like, hey, bet on this guy. Don't bet on this guy. I don't see any value in Raul Rosas at minus 700 at all. I think he'll win. He'll probably win by submission. Terence Mitchell isn't a guy who really powers out of positions. He doesn't really scramble that well. So I think Raul Rosas, if he gets his back, I feel like that's where the fight's going to end. So I feel like he's very capable of getting a sub. But man, Terence Mitchell can present some problems, I think. I think this line should be a little bit tighter. I am going with Raul Rosas by sub, but I am giving Terence Mitchell his props. I think he's better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. And there's definitely potential for an upset, especially this day and age. After the last couple cards, man, big favorites. Stay away from them, honestly, man. Moving up to welterweight, my most anticipated fight on the card, by far, Kevin Holland, Jack Della Maddalena. Now, looking at this again, the odds have swayed quite a bit. Jack Della Maddalena was an underdog there for a while. I'm taking Jack Della Maddalena for just a couple of reasons. I feel like this fight boils down pretty much to Jack Della Maddalena versus Randy Brown. Because Kevin Holland and Randy Brown are kind of similar, at least frame-wise and style-wise. I think Kevin Holland's a little bit more wild than Randy Brown. I think he's a lot more durable than Randy Brown. But I think Jack Della Maddalena has the ability to do the same thing to Kevin Holland, and that is back him up against the cage to be able to land strikes on him. Jack Della Maddalena is really good at closing distance and getting in the pocket to land his strikes, and I think he's going to back Kevin Holland up against the cage and land big strikes on him. Now, there's value on Kevin Holland. He is dangerous, and he is big, and he is quite good at just about everything. I think he could take Jack Della Maddalena down if he wanted to, but let's be real, I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to implement any grappling. I think he's going to kickbox with him, and I think that might be a mistake. Not that Kevin Holland can't win kickboxing with him. He could easily catch Jack Della Maddalena, but, you know, for my money, I would trust Jack to win a striking contest against Kevin Holland over the other way around. I think he's going to land a big shot inside the pocket once he has Kevin Holland pressed up against the fence. I think he's going to land one on his chin, and I think he's going to TKO him. I don't think he's going to like KO Kevin Holland flat or anything, but I think he's going to get TKO in like round 2. That's what I think. And one thing I want to mention, I feel like this is line over correction at its finest, or at least when Jack was an underdog, because if Jack Della Maddalena didn't fight Basil Hafez on like super super short notice, if he didn't fight him and they made this fight, Jack Della Maddalena would be like a minus 250 at least. I guarantee it. But yeah, JDM TKO round 2. That's the pick. Moving up to the main event, Alexa Grasso, Valentina Shevchenko. And I think this is probably where I'm going to lose you folks. Viva Mexico. I think I'm going with Alexa Grasso. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds insane. But fellas, Sean Strickland's the middleweight champion. Am I really that crazy for thinking that this is possible? I don't think so. I don't think so. Their first fight was very close. Shevchenko was definitely getting the better of Grasso in the first fight. I think it was 1-2 going into the fourth for Shevchenko, but Alexa Grasso found the finish in the fourth. Now, I don't think Shevchenko is going to make the same mistake that cost her the fight last time, but there is something that I do think. I don't think Valentina is going to add anything to her game. I don't think she's going to get any better than when she fought Grasso the first time. For the simple fact, I think in her mind she's thinking, if I don't spin, I don't lose. If I don't turn my back, I won't lose this fight. So there's really no incentive to really improve her skills, because in her head she's like, oh, I was dominating that fight. My skills were enough. And I think Alexa Grasso is going to make substantial improvements as opposed to Shevchenko. She's younger. You know, Shevchenko's 35 now. That's kind of an age, in my opinion, where you kind of start to reach the end of the road as far as a career goes. I don't think she's going to add anything new to her game, and I think Alexa Grasso is going to add new shit to her game. She's competent enough on the feet to land good strikes against Shevchenko. You saw it in the first round of their fight. She stunned Shevchenko pretty bad, and it got her the round. And I think she can improve her takedown defense substantially since the first fight. I think this is going to be an even closer contest than the first fight. And I think I'm going to go with Alexa Grasso by maybe a split decision. I feel like this is going to be a pretty tightly contested fight. Yeah. Alexa Grasso, split decision is the pick. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry if this came out late, but I'm kind of sick right now. Leave your picks in the comments. Catch you guys in the next one. See ya.